What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another Dragon Ball Legends video. My name is Dfree. Here today, we are going to go ahead and take a look at the brand new Sparking Kid Goku that you guys see on the right-hand side of the screen. We are also going to go ahead and take a look at all of the character balance changes. A ton of characters just got buffed and just got updated and stuff like that to be more relevant in this game. So units that were kind of bad before are really usable, very good. I've been tweeting about this today, so make sure you do follow me on Twitter if you don't already. Shameless plug. But other than that, like I said, we're going to talk about the Goku first. He's going to be first character that we take a look at. So we're going to spend quite some time here. We're going to give you guys my opinions. We're going to talk about this, the befores and after changes. If you want to see a guide on how to get this Goku, make sure you check out the video in the description. I put that up earlier today in case you missed it. But that being said, character balances changes number 2. So the first one came out a few months back, but this time they went ahead and buffed a ton of characters. Adjustments were made to the 5 lowest characters in their respective rarities. In the popular characters ranking of the Space-Time Duel number 11, restricted to battle rank 50th or above. This applies to Sparking and Extreme characters. So they did not buff any heroes. They did go ahead and buff, let me go ahead and turn that off. They did go ahead and buff the Sparking and Extreme characters. So to begin, we have this Goku before and after changes. So you see 10% prior buffs to 60% with this ability here. Dope. Major changes to massive. I don't know exactly like the damage modifiers for those yet. Never really bothered to look into that. So there's that. But I have to assume it's good, right? Now, they do something crazy here. With his green ability, he literally doesn't need to use it a third time. He goes from needing to use it 3 times to get a maximum of 120% to special move arts power to being able to use it twice and getting to 160. So that's just kind of the idea for what's going to happen here. Now, they do change a lot of characters, the ability buffs, adding in extra buffs that they do, etc., etc. So his 5-star goes from 24 to strike and blast defense to 30. Incredible buffs there. That's a huge difference. Of course, the 7-star changes as well. There's a 10% difference at 7-star if you guys happen to get him there. Other than that, eventually, I guess, other than that, his unique ability changes from 50% to 80%. So I'm going to cover him specifically. So let's go back, and we're going to take a look at the purple Goku in here. Huge whale box. Don't know how much I spent. I always point that out because it seems like with Legends videos, that's a lot more common, I guess, than Dokkan, where it's like, oh, you're a huge whale, bro. Anyways, we're going to go over to the Goku. I said we're going to cover Kid Goku. We're going to come right back to him after this. But anyways, here's the Goku. He is a defensive type character. These are the stats that he has on my screen, not those, on my actual game screen, at 398% and 5 stars or so. That being said, these are the arts cards he holds. Now we look at his kit. One-handed Spirit Bomb. Massive explode damage plus 60% to critical rate for 20 timer counts. We look at Lend Me Your Energy, like I said, up to 160% special move arts power bonus. That is crazy. So his entire gimmick is he's the first one in the game. There's another one in the game now, the Fist Goku, the one that kind of punches them up from the Broly movie, the Blue Goku Super Saiyan. Their gimmick, just in general, is to try to beat your opponent when they're the last character left. So that's what he's doing, right? So when we go ahead and we take a look at this, he gets up to 160% and then has a 70% chance to inflict Feint. Feint is so disgusting, but if you give it a 70% chance with just your green card, with just the green card, you don't even have to hit them, with just the green card. So that's insane. Moving on, his main ability also restores his health by 20%, solid. Also draws one-handed Spirit Bomb, so that's pretty dope. After 20 timer counts. Z ability, like I said, 30% at 5 stars. And then these are his unique abilities, the passives that he has, plus 30% of strike damage inflicted when 2 allies are defeated, plus 80% to own special move arts power, which is the one-handed Spirit Bomb, when 2 allies are down. So if he is literally the last character you have, he's getting this, these 2 buffs. He should be getting those 2 buffs anyway. And you've also used the green card. He's coming through with a one-handed Spirit Bomb. Could potentially draw another one if you haven't used his main ability yet. And he is going to do a glut of damage. He's going to do a ton of damage. So this guy, he is really good. He's very, very powerful. His biggest issue is the lack of a good Z ability. It's good for him, but I mean, I would like for it to be at least strike and blast attack, but I mean, it is what it is. But he's not going to be super crazy relevant because of that, because Saiyans like to have, you know, more diverse, you know, bench units, especially when we get into units that aren't supporting other units, really, like Gogeta, who's mainly only supporting himself on a full Saiyan team. Maybe you throw in Gotenks. And then you look at Goku Black, same kind of thing, you know, so you need kind of these units that are supporting multiple units. So this guy's very good, though, in general, right? I do want to backtrack to the Goku. The Goku is a very powerful unit as well for a free-to-play. Let me go back and show you guys some of his stats. He's not fully completed yet, but just keep that in mind. 1 star as well, so some of the discrepancy between the website and just the character when he actually has soul boosting, etc. So there's that. These are the arts cards that he holds. Then moving on, we are going to take a look at his abilities. So Kamehameha, plus 20% of damage inflicted against Demon King Piccolo. So he's really good in this event right now, the Legends Road, because there's a lot of King Piccolos. Plus 15% own strike damage for 15 timer counts on hit. He goes forward with this, and he deflects Ki Blasts as a result. Moving on, he does have the Blast Through, plus 20% of damage inflicted for 15 timer counts if own health is 50% or lower. So you do want to use when he's lower on HP. That's a detail I didn't know myself. Now, this allows him to draw the Burst Through ability, or Blast Through, excuse me. And he has a pretty cool tag. So let's scroll down and see his tag here on the computer. Plus 20% to episode Dragon Ball Saga, or tag Legends Road. So they're doing this thing, and there's a couple of units that are doing this now with the latest buff that are supporting multiple tags at once. So that's kind of what's happening here. Dragon Ball Saga and Legends Road tag, which is only him right now, but in the future, right, that has a lot of potential. But he's, of course, doing 2 of the stats you probably don't want a whole lot of. They're not bad. It's just more or less you probably would have wanted the offensive stats. But the strike and blast defense in 1 is good, going up to a maximum of 35%. So make sure you are farming this guy up. Anyways, let's look at our next buffed character, Pycon. Awesome. So Pycon has always been the butt of a lot of people's jokes. We're going to go ahead and take a look at this man. He was my very first sparking, so that's cool. Very powerful unit. These are the stats he has now in the meantime. So very powerful. A lot of these units have very powerful status upgrades. Like, they have some of the top stats in the game, actually. So before and after, 19% at 5-star to yellow elemental health. Did not change, but he does pick up 25% to episodes, sagas from the movies, base strike defense during battle. So what that is, I'm going to show you guys really quick because I can. It's all of these characters. So he's now supporting all of these characters' strike defense. And there are other units like Cooler and Broly that kind of can support these tags as well. I think one of these Turleses, maybe? I don't know. Not going to dip into that too much. But we're going to come back to the Pycon thing. Moving on, his ability at 7 stars. Again, the HP for the yellow element doesn't change, but he does get 28% to strike defense for that tag that I just showed. Now, he went from doing 20% to tag Frieza Force to being 40%, which is obviously a more common version of that type of ability. We're going to see that change with Frieza as well when we get to him. He does not change his other unique ability. Plus 5 to all enemies, substitution count for 30 timer counts when defeated. That does not change. But his main ability does change. It can be used faster, and it lasts twice as long. So he's very powerful. I've already kind of talked about the status upgrades that he has. Double arts cards held. Moving on, and not to mention the utility that he has with Gogeta, by the way, and he can actually feasibly on the sagas from the movies team with Gogeta, or like on a full Saiyan team, whatever you want to do, just to try to buff your Gogeta up a little bit more. So let's take a look at the man's Fire Kick, plus 15% of blast damage inflicted, which is not great because he's a melee unit. I don't know why they didn't fix that, but whatever. Plus 20% of chance, 20% chance to inflict feint, pretty solid. Plus 15% of damage inflicted, very vanilla, but not bad. Buying time. This is one of those disruption abilities. He is able to make your opponent have to use more ki per arts card for 20 counts as opposed to 10 prior. That's insane. Like, it lasts for a while. If I was reading it right, it was 10 prior. And it took 15 counts prior. Now it takes 10 counts to activate. So we already talked about the Z ability and then anti-Frieza Force and then also the substitution counter up. So very powerful. Very, very powerful unit. Now, do not sleep on this man. If you have him, do not sleep on him. He is going to be pretty good. Now, let's look at probably the best unit in this batch. Let's see if this got updated. Okay, so if you've been looking at this, this is wrong. It's not correct. Frieza's not getting all these buffs. I've seen this image floating around. It's just an issue with the website. As I show you here, Frieza does not have all those unique abilities, right? So we're going to come back to that. Anyways, I haven't shown the arts for some of these cards lately, but I mean, it's not a huge deal. Hopefully not anyway. Anyways, let's go back. We're going to take a look at the Frieza and see what they did before and after. So, various stats upgraded. Yeah, you guys want to see his stats? Like, he's got monstrous stats. Like, all these units have great stats. Plus 20% 24% to element yellow, base strike, and defense, blast defense during the battle. Changes to being 30% at 5-star. Pretty monstrous buff. Changes to being 35% at 7-star. Anti-Saiyans got updated from being 20% to being 40%. His attack now does massive damage as opposed to major. And he also plus 20% to allied tag Lineage of Evil strike damage for 15 timer counts. That is a new tag. Lineage of Evil is a new tag that does feature pretty much the Frieza race. So that's what they're calling it. It features all of these units. So pretty cool if you do plan on using those characters. And it just has, you know, opportunity to grow in the future when we get like Golden Frieza, etc. So let's go ahead and take a look at the man's kit in general. So one of the biggest things that happens to him is actually his green card, which we're going to talk about in a moment. Deals major explode damage, causes enemies to take 15% more strike damage, which is pretty good. Definitely what Pycon would have wanted. So he now has a long-range telekinesis. He can hit you from wherever you are now. Prior, you had to be up on them pretty much, really close range to use this. He can hit you from all the way across now. That's a huge game changer for this ability. 15% more strike damage as well. So it's not just not just immobilization. It's also a status upgrade. And then he does fly forward with the Death Catastrophe there. Moving on, he does pick up the Death Catastrophe, and we've already kind of talked about some of these other things here. So very, very, very good upgrade for this unit. Anyways, we're going to try to streamline this a little bit more. We have Cooler here. His stats were upgraded. Let's go ahead and see if we can pull up Cooler wherever he is. I was going to say, yeah, I have it sorted by acquired. Like, we're going to look at some of the older units. Doesn't Piccolo fall from the sky or something? Yeah, there it is. Okay. Anyways, showing his details. These are the stats he has. I'm pretty sure he's 398'd. Okay, he's not. Most of them are. Cooler's one that I actually just trained up to 1500, so he's not all the way there yet. So pretty good unit. Okay, so it changes to being 25% more blast damage. So that's pretty good. Special skill. Oh, they reduced the cost of his green card, which is disgusting. It went from being 35 cost to 20 cost. Wow. And then at 5-star, he picks up the ability to increase blast defense by 25% versus 22% just to attack at 5-star. So blast attack and defense now. And then, of course, it gets further upgraded at 7 stars. His unique ability changed from having 50% to special move arts power for 20 timer counts to being 80% to special move arts power for 35 counts. That's a huge upgrade. Moving on. Before adjustments for the boost blast attack up, plus 15% to blast damage inflicted for each opponent downed by the current character, changed to being 25%. And he can also use his main ability 10 counts sooner. So Cooler is not bad. So there we go with the Death Beam. Cause enemies to receive 25% more damage. He has this ability, Destructive Wave, which is really good, actually. One of the better green cards in the game. Highly underrated, actually. Inflicts bleed, which is cool. Destroys 3 of the enemy's cards at random. And increases enemies' arts card draw speed by 1 level for 10 timer counts. 20% chance to inflict fate. This is a busted green card. It's busted. It is literally disgusting. So, very powerful unit now. Main ability, 50 key recovery, and increases card draw speed by 1 level for 15 timer counts. Very good disruption unit. You have a situation where he's going to destroy their cards and slow down how fast they can recover cards, which is highly detrimental offensively and defensively. And also, he can pick up how fast he draws cards for you. We already talked about the Z ability, and he does have these other abilities here too. 80% to special move arts power. Yeah, that's crazy. Cooler is, like, all these units are good. And that's what I like about this game. They try really hard to make all the units pretty good. So we have Ginyu. So we're about halfway through. Like I said, I'm trying to pick it up a little bit. Ginyu's still really good because he does hold the green card, by the way. One of a couple of characters, I believe. Stats were upgraded. Let's go ahead and pull up Ginyu. He should be early on. There he is. So I know he's 398'd. So because I literally just did that. So anyways, moving on. We have Ginyu. And I believe he has a sideways view. There it is. Whatever. Okay, so let's go back over here. Cards he holds, green like I said, and there's that. So enemies take 15% more strike damage for 30 counts, so it went from 15 to 30. His special skill causes the enemies to take 20% more blast damage for 30 counts, which prior it was 20. He now has an upgraded Z ability where he now also supports the Frieza Force. So he's a Frieza Force character now. Well, he always was, but now he supports them. He does actually only offer the Ginyu Force, the HP boost, but he does offer strike attack to the Frieza Force characters. So he himself gets both, so that's cool. Anyways, moving on. His unique abilities: Team Frieza Force Blast Attack bonus went from 20% to blast damage inflicted when you have a Frieza Force character as a battle member to 45%. Also, plus 20% to strike damage inflicted from the battle start for 20 timer counts, jumped to being 40. So he comes through doing a ton of damage. Ginyu is very good. His Awaken skill deals major pierce damage and inflicts bleed is what it was prior. It still does that. Deals major pierce damage, inflicts enemy with bleed, and attribute downgrade. Minus 85% to key recovery for 10 timer counts. 85%. And the range changed from being mid-range to being a long-range attack. That is nutty. The body change is doing a ton of things now. He is amazing. So if you do not use Ginyu, I'm going to keep saying it. Like, these units are great, man. If you don't use them, make sure you're using them. So there we go. Ginyu got a huge buff. And of course, the stats upgraded and stuff. Let's move on to now, I think, the EXs. I think we have 5 units to go now, the EXs. Not going to spend a whole lot of time on them, although I do think they did get a lot better. We have Chiaotzu here. I'm not really going to go over him, but you can see his stats here. He's not fully soul boosted. I'm saving that for pretty soon. I need to come back and do that video. So you see the change, 22% change to 25% to damage inflicted by allies with self-destruct during battle. Yes, that should apply to Majin Vegeta as well. I'm planning a fun self-destruct team. And then also Z ability, plus 30% to damage inflicted by allies with self-destruct. So they just changed his stats and then changed his Z ability. They didn't change anything else about his kit. Now, Ianto is actually a really good EX prior. He should be somewhere in the middle. Here he is. I haven't used him in quite some time, so stats aren't going to be reflected too well. Jumps to being 25% to strike and blast attack. So he does pick up strike attack, which is what he needed in the first place as a melee-based unit. So he does pick that up. Other than that, his Z ability at 7 stars does go up as well. So it looks like they pretty much just updated the Z abilities for the EXs. Yeah, that's pretty much what they did. So we have Kaba here, same kind of deal. He picks up strike defense for his Z ability as well. Tien, kind of same thing here. Tien actually got a really big bench buff for yellows, specifically like for this event. So if you have Tien, make sure you're using him. And then, of course, the stats did get updated. I can show you Tien. I have Kaba, but I haven't fully soul boosted him. But here's Tien's stats at 398 right now. So, again, these are pretty good stats. He's kind of getting... He's in that range of sparking units. So he's really good. Really good unit. Moving on. And then we have Tao here. So he does critical and max base health to purple units, plus 30% at 5-star. 33% to critical and 19% to HP at 7-star. That is insane. Wow. Purple units got a major buff with this guy if you have him soul boosted. So altogether, though, that is it, everyone. Let me know your thoughts and comments down below. I do think that these characters did get major upgrades. The EXs particularly, they got upgraded to where they can be better units on the bench that you don't actually take into the battle. But the Sparkings got very good. So anyways, thank you for tuning in. Hope you guys enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. And I'll catch all of you guys in the next one. Take it easy, everybody.